Hey sluts! I'm Aubrey, an Aquarius Sun, Scorpio Moon, Taurus rising.
And I'm Danny, a Sag Sun, Leo Moon, Libra rising.
And we're your Astro Sluts. And we're your Hoe-storians. Welcome back to season 4 of Astro Sluts.
This season will be going around the world, taking you through the origins of astrology, which we'll be kicking things off with today, and then getting into all the different things that might entail. We'll see what happens.
Are you ready for takeoff, sluts? Here we go.
Buckle your seatbelts.
Thanks for calling Astro Sluts. Leave your birth time.
If you want to know how to get that guy, text their mom. We're going to need that time. We'll be your latest crush. Call us Astro Sluts.
What do you have to update on us since the last season? Was that English? Did that make sense?
Yeah. I don't think much.
I know.
I think, I know. I feel like it hasn't been that long. I think it's only been like a little month, I guess. Hopefully you've been listening to our quickies while we've been gone. We'll keep doing those every week. But yeah, I think I still have a boyfriend. We didn't break up.
Love that. We love to hear it.
So that's still going on, and things are great and happy and lovely. What about you?
Pretty similar. Still dating the wife. Yeah, just living life. I know.
Living
I feel like so much has happened in the past 4 weeks. I'm like, oh, I have to say that on the pod. And
I
now I'm
know.
like, my life is the same.
Yeah.
I am about to have a new life though.
Yes.
I think our biggest announcement is that I got a job
With me.
with Danny. So now we will be spending Monday through Friday,
all of our
9
time
to
together.
5 together or whatever.
So exciting. I'm thrilled.
It's going to be great. So honestly, expect way more content from us.
Yeah, literally.
So
I'm
that's
like, we're
really
about to be
exciting.
attached at the hip. So
Thank goodness.
Great for the brand.
Right. And we'll be talking in sync more than ever.
Yeah. I know. I've been thinking about it. I'm just like laughing about the fact that I'm like, we're about to roll up to this office and people are going to be like, what is happening?
Happening?
There's another one. I feel like I'm just such a menace
Another
already.
one.
And they're like, oh, God.
That
She's
is-
got a friend.
Right. That is so funny. No, yeah, we are
Yeah.
really gonna,
We're
take
gonna
over.
Stomp the yard or whatever.
Something like
Something
that.
like that.
But it'll be a great time.
it's gonna be
I
fun.
am
New era loading.
No, literally. I literally have a new life loading right now.
I know.
So, yeah. We'll get into that when it happens, though,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we're excited for a new era of Astro Sluts. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome back. If you want to stay up to date on all the latest Astro Sluts, you can sign up for our text messages. We'll text you whenever there's something new to look forward to. And you can text Astro. If you're already on the list, you're good. But the phone carriers did not like that we were saying sluts in text. It was a whole snafu, a kerfuffle, a finasco, if you're a Bachelor fan. So you can text Astro, ASTRO, to, same number, 833-676-2680. You do have to be 18 or older to receive our texts. So I'm sorry to the teens, but maybe you shouldn't be listening to this either. I don't know.
You just have to text them your birthday,
Yeah.
the numbers. So,
Yeah.
that's all.
Do
That's,
with that what you will.
a little wink. That's all you have to do.
And then with that, if you're loving Astro Sluts, if you've been following along for all 4 seasons now through the quickies and you haven't left us a review, we would so appreciate it. We love seeing those little 5 stars, 5 stars only. And if you leave us a review on whatever your favorite platform is, wherever you listen to us, if you send us a screenshot along with your sign and your address, we'll send you some stickers. We'd love to say thank you for listening and for showing your support with a little review. So you can DM us on Instagram. Just little screenshot that shows click that 5-star, and we'll send you a little treat in the mail.
Or you can text us, yeah?
Yeah.
Text us your screenshot.
Whatever.
But we would really appreciate it. And we love you guys.
Love you.
New segment alert.
Boop, boop, boop.
It's time for, drumroll please, click clack of the computer screens.
Talk astronomy.
Mm.
Ooh, what is that? Suspicious.
We are going to just, do little icebreaker questions every week to get us into it. They'll be themed by the different signs every week. And we're just going to come up with them. Do you want to ask your question first?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm in the hot seat.
Yeah. So I went with a Sagittarius question this week, and I went with like a little Jupiter energy meets philosophy.
Okay,
that
cute.
would be fun. Would you rather get everything you've ever wanted or everything you'll ever need?
Oh.
But maybe it's like different,
Okay. Definitely everything I've ever wanted.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my God. No, I really still have romanticized the hardships of fame.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't wait to hate being famous.
Totally.
I that is like what I'm looking forward
I
to
love that.
most is being like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I just wish I could like go
Be
to the
a
grocery
normal
store like a
person.
normal person.
I love that.
That's my dream.
Mhm.
So if I have everything I want, but
Yeah.
not everything I need, that's lit.
Amazing.
I wrote a little Aquarius question. It's giving alien. It's giving
Totally.
futurism.
Yeah.
It's
I
giving
love it.
Aquarius. Would you rather time travel to the past or to
Mhm.
the future, and like just when and where
Okay.
would you want to go?
Mm-hmm. So I would rather go to the future, and I would like to go. I'd like to go to my Martha Stewart era. So maybe when I'm like 60 plus.
Okay, just see what the vibe is.
See what's the vibe. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yes. If you have any ideas for questions, you can put them in our submission form in our links in bios, and we'll post these questions on TikTok too, because we want to hear your answers.
Yeah. And you can theme them by sign, and really anything that means to you. So you can think of like the color, the body part, the symbol, the planet, whatever like that sign brings up, anything that falls in that realm. It's
Whatever
like
they rule, yeah.
Like a little good way to remember all the things that our signs mean. All the good symbolism.
Up next, we're also going to do a little current sky for the next week. Another new little segment that we're trying out. Let us know if you like the additions to this season. We will kick it off with, first of all, welcome to Virgo season. Started on August 23rd and will go until September 22nd.
Virgo season is famously Beyonce season. I think that's just a really great way to understand Virgo.
Totally.
Hard worker, kick ass, but like so talented. So like you could keep that in mind all season. Just fucking go for it. Girl boss season. It is time to get your life in order season. Really like whatever you want to like start like taking your little notes, getting your little prep work together.
Huge back to school energy.
Yeah, exactly. Get the notebooks, get the pencils, get the fresh highlighters. Literally. I mean, back to school.
Yeah,
energy.
literally. I mean, there's a reason that like you go back to school in Virgo season. Like
Right.
it makes total sense.
Yeah.
I think it's also just thinking about like Beyonce, it is a little bit more like Virgos are like very internal.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yeah.
keep a lot to ourselves,
Totally.
and only the most perfect version of Virgo
Absolutely.
gets shown to the world.
Totally. I mean, it's like Beyonce doesn't do interviews, kind
Right.
of thing.
Yes.
Like I know there's some, but like in theory, like in general, it's like the really like, and like the documentary comes out, but like after the insane killer, one of a kind, never done again ever Coachella performance.
Yes.
Like that's when you get the behind the scenes look, is after all that.
Yeah, and it's all
Mhm.
like PR'd.
Right. Yeah, no, it's curated.
It's all been looked over
tuned
by an entire team.
Yeah, exactly.
But Virgo gets the final say.
Mm-hmm.
But you can check what house Virgo lands in your birth chart to see like what part of your life might get, highlighted by the sun right now.
Totally. Oh, maybe that's just why I've been anxious. It's my 12th house.
Oh, that
could be.
That's fair.
Yeah, I wonder if that's it. Next up on the horizons here, we have a Mercury retrograde, everyone's favorite. Kicking off September 9th, so later this week, if you're listening to this when it comes out.
It's going to go all the way until October 1st. Like we've said many a times, we will remind you that Mercury retrograde is a great time like for reflection and reassessing, whatever's going on for you. It's an easy time for like miscommunications, not a great time to like be signing contracts or anything like in word, like definitely like, read
Fine
over your
tooth
contracts.
comb.
Yeah. It's easy to miss stuff in Mercury retrograde. Lots of like technology glitches, which is, we love to launch a podcast season during a Mercury retrograde.
Yeah,
so,
we just had a strange man sitting in the corner of this room for so long. We had to just sit here and stare at each other.
Right. If you're watching our video podcast, you'll notice we're not in our typical settings.
It's been a whole thing all week. We're here now.
We're making it work.
We're here. This Mercury retrograde is in Libra, so it might have a lot to do with relationships. Again, this is not a scare thing. This is just an awareness thing. Libra is like famously sign of all things relationship, partnerships, all those lovely things. So this might have a lot to do with kind of like miscommunications in your relationships. This could be Mercury retrograde is famous for getting that text from an ex. That might be another thing that comes up with this Libra energy too. I'm also like wondering about like ghosting. I'm just wondering if like people might just be dropping.
That's fair. Also, a Libra Mercury retrograde in Virgo season.
Yeah.
We need to focus on us. And
totally.
we just, don't have the communication skills in these next couple of weeks to be honest with people. So
yeah, very interesting.
Watch out for that.
We'll
Report back.
Happens.
Those of you in the dating pool.
Right. Let us know. And then it will eventually retrograde back to Virgo towards the end of the Mercury retrograde. So again, more Mercury energy. Shouldn't be too shocking towards the end there, but
also something just to keep in mind, like any of the other transits that have happened in this past week are about to happen again and will happen a third time. So whatever's been coming up for you recently is going to will probably continue to surface. That's a good word. So just something to
yeah, definitely.
notice.
Definitely.
As always, do not stop living your life because of Mercury retrograde. We can be aware that, communication is hard and things aren't going to plan, but still live your life.
Next up this week, we have the full moon in Pisces. I didn't mean to be that dramatic.
It's drama.
It's drama. Beware. I'm not going to tell you to be afraid of Mercury in retrograde, but I am going to. No, I'm just kidding, obviously.
Maybe the full moon in Pisces.
But yeah, full moons tend to be pretty emotional for some people, or heightened anxiety. It's a lot of energy. So that manifests for different people in different ways, of course. But the full moon, which we know is all things watery, the moon. This one is in Pisces, which we all know is also very watery. So this might be an extra emotional, might be feeling very sensitive. Definitely a time to be really extra kind to yourself. Probably plan ahead. Maybe if you know full moons typically get to you, maybe you're just you know what? I'm going to stay home and take a bath that day.
Yeah, a great idea.
Yeah.
And that is happening on September 10th.
Yep.
So good luck.
Yeah.
Be kind to ourselves.
Yep. And again, you can always check which house Pisces will fall into to kind of see what area of your life that moon might hit on.
It's Astro Education time. This is a continued segment.
Yes.
We will always educate the people.
Stop. We will not shut up.
This week we are talking about the history of astrology.
Yes.
putting our little Hoe-storian hats on today. So, yeah, it's time for our history lesson.
Amazing. I'll begin with the development of astrology.
I wish we had a PowerPoint.
I know, I do too. I have like a lot of notes, so I'm going to be reading.
Great.
It all started in Mesopotamia, as most things did.
Woo woo.
The Mesopotamians were the first people to track the planets and stars. So kind of like early vibes of astronomy, astrology, all those kinds of things. Later on, within Mesopotamia, the Babylonians were the first people to create like the zodiac wheel. So they were the first people to kind of like put the trackings like onto a circle, essentially. And then later down the line, we get into like Greek, Egypt moments. So like Egypt came under Hellenistic rule. I think like Alexander the Great or something, like a Greek person, whatever, one of those guys. You know, they took land as they did. And that is where horoscopic astrology came from. So the
like predictive.
Yeah. So like what it was like they combined Hellenistic astrology with Egyptian decanic zodiac. So the Egyptians had the tradition of splitting up the zodiac wheel into 36 segments. So if you're familiar with decans, which we're going to get into actually
on
later
Friday.
this week.
Quickie number 6.
Yes. So splitting up the wheel, 36 segments, 10 degrees each. So you might have heard that like in your sign itself, which is obviously what we call decans now, with like the Hellenistic kind of like 12-part wheel. So that was kind of like probably like almost similar to what we use today, I would say. Still like an early kind of sign, or in early, like very early methods, but like that's kind of where those two things came together, is like a little bit more of like what you would see today.
Mm-hmm.
And the Egyptians put the emphasis on the rising sign. So that's obviously very familiar to us. The Greek system of planetary gods. So that's where we got like the Jupiters and all the, like, that's all I can think of right now.
Saturn.
Mars.
Zeus, the Zeus.
Right, exactly.
Aspect,
That's
the mythology.
Kind of like Greek influence on that on the Egyptian system. Sign rulership, so planet to sign, the elements. This came to be something that we're like pretty familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And then back to Greece and Rome, astrology got to Greece by a Babylonian priest. So it was like all stemming still from this like Mesopotamia Babylonian situation. But I do think it's like funny that there was like an astrology missionary.
Oh.
Essentially.
Okay.
Like this priest went there to like spread astrology.
Yeah.
Which is just very interesting. So the Greeks then brought astrology to Rome as well as like to Egypt with the Alexander the Great situation. I don't know who conquered Rome. But there was a Roman emperor who is noted to be the first emperor to have like a court astrologer.
Okay.
So that's like the first time that we saw this kind of like higher up person having astrology.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we have India and China, which have their own systems of astrology that kind of like developed separately. And then the rest of the world by the Middle Ages had developed the Greek system. So the system we talked about, that kind of like the Egyptian Greek mixture that came about, they had like by the Middle Ages that had pretty much spread to everywhere, except India and China had their own kind of like similar but different, and they held their kind of systems of learning.
Mm-hmm. So then I did a little research on like how astrology was used in everyday life.
Yeah.
So basically people were always kind of like looking to the sky.
Totally.
You know, it's like this huge thing that is like changing, and like we have no like access to it in like, you know, the OG days.
Right.
Like,
not much else going on.
right. We can't like, you know, touch the sky. We can't like go
Yeah.
there. So it's like, you know,
Very mystical.
it's always been like a mystical thing for humans. Obviously like travelers would use the sky for like direction, and obviously would note that it like the stars like change where they are throughout the year. You know, just initial observations. Astrology was like initially created though to like use like the patterns in it to like create order. This is like before we had like agreed on the calendar.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we didn't have days of the week.
Yeah.
Like so we would use like the sky. You know, when this happens in the sky, like that's when, you know, whatever, we'll do this. And yeah, it also evolved into like noticing weather patterns as well based on the sky. Farming was also a big thing. Like if you hear things like called like the harvest moon, those are things.
Right.
I think that's like ancient Egypt that they started
That makes
using.
sense, yeah.
Like the farmers would use like certain like full moons or whatever to know like when to expect floods or when to like plant their crops or whatever. And then like spiritually people would use like the sky, you know, for like mostly like eclipses and things, like big events, for like when ceremonies should be held or like when they should go to war kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I will also just add like astrology kind of like came about because people have always been like spiritual, you know, but then when like the humans started getting into more like math and like logic.
Yeah, science really helped that.
Astrology is like the combination of like using omens in the sky, like an eclipse, plus like math and logic.
Yeah.
And like mapping like omens out basically.
Right, totally.
From the sky. So then, yes, as we discussed, then astrology is eventually used for prediction, mostly by royalty. I guess we talked about Rome a little bit earlier, but like in ancient China, like like the emperor had noblemen like looking at eclipses to like figure out when would be like good or bad times for the emperor.
Right.
Like astrology and astronomy used to be like synonymous.
Yes.
For many, many years. Like people who were astronomers were also considered astrologers. Like Johann Kepler. I only know who that is because of the telescope. I don't know what else he actually did. But, you know, clearly a well-respected like astronomer was also considered an astrologer at the time in the 17th century.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I believe Sir Isaac Newton like came up with the concept of like gravity. That there became more of like a divide between like really like sciencey, mathy like astronomy of like more so like calculating, just like calculating, I don't know, to calculate, like just to explore what else is out there kind of thing, and more so like the spiritual path of astrology. So something that I learned that I was just really blew my mind, and I was excited because no one had ever talked about this before, but apparently Roman leaders banned astrology from like every people. Like it was like illegal for like anyone but like the Roman leaders to know astrology because they were scared that knowledge would like make it easier to like overthrow like the government basically.
Vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly. Like if someone calculated like, oh, this is a good day for like for the emperor to die or whatever, we couldn't be having that.
So interesting.
Right. So there is just like a huge very direct like status and like your access to information, especially like we'll get into this later, but like before there was the internet, like it was pretty easy to like
block
keep information from people.
Huge gatekeep energy.
Yeah. But the leaders would then use astrology like to their advantage and like, you know, have their own astrologers like helping to, you know, use the stars in their favor. So it wasn't until the Middle Ages, or which is also the Renaissance, I believe. The Renaissance is part of the Middle Ages. I literally made this connection myself after a lot of research. That was also the mark of the Middle Ages starting is the fall of the Roman Empire. So it's not until the Middle Ages where like everyday people are starting to use astrology in their everyday lives. It became like an essential part of medicine. Like doctors would like directly use like what like the planetary rulers of like certain like medicinal plants and like
very cool.
pull them at like a certain time.
Right.
Very fun.
Yeah.
And so then, but then as the church, you know, the Catholics, gained power, they demonized astrology. We can't have nice things
Exactly.
with the church. I think it really is just like people in power, like seeing how much astrology can like, I don't know, empower people.
Really,
really scares them. Like Galileo was an astrologer, and he was like forced to like drop that title and like drop those beliefs essentially.
Yeah.
I think by the church.
Yeah.
I want to say.
I think it was like, essentially so that he could like continue to have a career.
Yeah.
He had to be like, no, that's not
I don't believe
what
in
I
that,
do.
or,
Yeah.
But yeah, and then at least in Europe, the Age of Enlightenment is when people just kind of started vibing more with science over like theory. So I think the combination of like the church demonizing it and the Age of Enlightenment, it kind of got like just less popular and less important to
everyday life,
your average human. So yeah, that's a little bit about ancient history.
Yes.
And then we wanted to talk a little bit about like so all of that happened. And then how did we get to, you know,
today,
the two of us having a podcast about astrology
Literally.
and like all of you wanting to listen to it.
Yeah.
So I think just like the main thing is just obviously we have access to like widespread information. We have the internet. And I read this in an article someplace. It was like astrology is like the perfect combination of like there's really simple aspects that like anyone
can relate
to, but then also there is infinite things to look into. It's like the perfect thing to Google. You know? Like
literally.
You could study it forever, or you could just read about it for a couple minutes.
Yeah, in your magazine at the end of the last page of the magazine.
Yeah, but also just like more ancient texts have been translated.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting. Even like, this is like kind of a tangent, but even when we were in Tulum, like we went on a tour and he was talking about like how the Mayans used astrology. Like we went to the ruins and it was so cool, like just so interesting. But like that, like all different kinds of people like had their own version of it, but like now we can know that.
Right. Yeah.
Like we have access to that information. Yeah, that's like going too far back, but just an interesting real life
everywhere. Astrology
application
has been
of ancient astrology.
Yeah, and then it just like astrology has been important to so many people.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Literally.
I did find a little tidbit about how like horoscopes became popular.
Yeah.
In 1930, Princess Margaret was born. If you've watched The Crown, you're familiar. Someone published an article basically like making predictions about her life. This was like, it was published like 3 days after her birth. They were making just predictions about her and her life. And like, I think the main thing is they predicted that something like really eventful would happen when Princess Margaret was 7. And when she was 7 is when like her father became king.
Oh, wow.
So everyone was like, oh my God.
Yeah. What was that?
How did you know that? Like,
yeah.
So then the same person, which I guess this must have been 7 years later then.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just to note, this was not like the first time like a newspaper had published something about astrology. Like I think I saw something in like 1908. There was a headline about like President Roosevelt like is a like about being a Sagittarius or something. Like the newspaper had said stuff about astrology in the past, but like
this
just to this day, like people just go crazy over the royal family.
Yeah, true.
In the UK, like people just go crazy over it, and they always have.
Right.
So I think this was just like
had a huge draw.
Right. So then the same astrologer made another article like and totally predicted like a plane crash, and so after that people were like, you know, give us more of this.
Yeah.
Like, and so then that astrologer got like a weekly column
Oh, cool.
in this newspaper, and it just gradually turned into like horoscopes. And then obviously like that idea spread to other news, like people just copied it immediately, obviously. But I also read that other newspapers copying it, like sometimes they wouldn't even hire real astrologers. It would just be like they had a writer and they'd be like, do an astrology column, and they'd just like whatever read one book about astrology and be like, okay, here it is. Like,
that's so funny. That
so
makes a lot of sense there.
Right. I think that has a lot to do with the bad rap astrology gets, because
and horoscopes get specifically too.
Yeah.
Something we've both, I promise we both heard this and we can't remember where it was from, but I think this is just like such a like cool little tidbit. It was definitely in a podcast somewhere we listened to.
We think it was maybe Alice Sparkly Cat said this.
Yeah. But like the rise of like feminism and like feminist scenes like really brought about like another like wave of astrology like coming to the forefront and like using zodiac signs and horoscopes through these kind of like feminist communities as a way to like learn about themselves and communicate, and like a just kind of like a little underground like system.
I think also like we both like have been Googling for the past week, like trying to find something about this, but obviously just so much of like underground like history, and especially like zines, I guess not everyone knows what a zine is. A zine is like a little like handmade, typically like mini magazine that people make. It has like a lot to do with like queer culture and like just underground you know, counter subcultures. People would just like make them to like spread information, pass around. So obviously it's like, you know,
not the most Googleable
type of like history. But I think it astrology feels very
feels very aligned.
Allegedly zines started writing little horoscopes for people. And, you know, also an influence. So then also, I assume this also ties into zine culture, just like how there was like a wave of spirituality in like the 70s, like the Age of Aquarius vibes, which not clear on if, I don't think the Age of Aquarius actually started in the 70s. I believe it started like last year.
No, it was just like an era.
Yeah, it was just like a good title. That people were into, but I can't remember.
There's like a lot of different takes on what that means, and like one did start last year, but then I saw somewhere else like they were like, well, it's every 20 years. Some people say it's every couple thousand years. So I think it really depends on like, I think there's different transits and ways that people are mapping that.
So just a disclaimer. If you hear Age of Aquarius, that's like not really like a real thing.
That's more like, it was like, it's like, think of it's like the song.
Right.
It more was just like a vibe, a tonality.
Right. It was, but it was the age of coming together as a community and making a better future.
Exactly.
The right
Aquarius.
vibe. Yeah. In the 70s though, I guess late 60s, early 70s vibe, like just culturally people were starting to think more about like individuality, questioning religions, and like fighting against the status quo, which is all like very astrological, and also goes hand in hand with like space exploration. And we were just like learning about how big like the universe actually was, and how interesting that like then having a weekly horoscope where you know your sun sign, like that can make you feel so special and big, while we're learning like how tiny like humans actually are. I don't know how real this is. I read this on the internet in one place, but apparently there were like rumors that Ted Bundy would ask his victims what their sign was. Like that was like one of his like little like chat up lines. And so like once people caught like ear of that, it like had a lot to do with like the fall of popular astrology, like going into the 80s, like people like, just like widespread panic, like, oh, if you know Ted Bundy's into astrology, like it must be
from
horrible.
hell.
Exactly. So I don't know how like
So interesting.
actually true that is, but definitely
Great
a fun
pickup
like
line.
minor, right? Used it myself a few times.
Works every time, honestly.
Terrible. But yeah, at least a fun little like
Yeah.
well, that's not fun, but like a little yikes. Just like a little interesting detail
Totally.
of astrology history.
Yeah.
And then that just brings us to kind of like modern day. Obviously, this is really a brief history. There's endless things. You could go year by year. But brings us to like modern day. Obviously, social media is a huge thing. Astrology is also just like a great, easy thing to share. It's like a unifier. It's comedy. And with like meme culture, it is like the perfect
meme format.
Perfect meme format. It's like easily digestible. Everyone knows their sun sign and they're like, oh yeah, like that's so me.
Right.
And it's like easy shareable content. Also just like with the popularity of like the self-care era, people like are really focusing on themselves. So we all know that astrology is a great tool for that.
Yeah.
And I just think similar to how astrology was like originally created in like a calendar kind of way, like to create order. Like now we just hear like so much horrible news.
Yeah.
We just hear so many horrible things going on
constantly
every day, like way more than like we should. You know what I mean? Like humans just naturally, like we shouldn't know what's going on the other side of the world. So I think astrology is also like just so calming and comforting. Yeah, it's like also calming to like the chaos that's like happening everywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely.
So hope you enjoyed our little Hoe-story episode.
Like I can't believe I said Mesopotamia.
Right?
Again. This week we have a layover in
wink wink.
Get it? Around the world. When you're going around the world, you have a few layovers. And this week, our layover is in astrologer origins. That's us.
That's us. We thought we would talk a little bit about how we got into astrology originally.
Yes. I think it's always been like kind of like a bestie shared interest for us. Like I think just growing up, like sleepovers and magazines was like a huge part of the culture.
We're all bringing I'm like, I'll bring Tiger Beat and you bring
Girls
like
Code.
Yeah.
I think that was one, right? That was like, was that what it was called?
Maybe.
It was like Girls something.
It's like J14.
Oh, J14. Yeah, all of the good ones. But yeah, I always had to read my horoscope in a magazine. Always like really associated with being a Sagittarius too. So that was like pretty easy. Like that wasn't like, I was like, I don't know. You know, it was like, no, yeah, that's
exactly
it.
me.
But I feel like the first like birth chart we ever like really dissected, like I think when I like really started getting into it was like after high school. And I think it was like, I remember being like visiting you in Boston. And like, I feel like I'd probably done I had to have done my own chart. But like, I think the first one we like sat down together, we were like, okay.
Right. A crazy boyfriend.
What?
We were like, something's not adding up here.
No,
like, we
literally,
need
like,
help.
what's happening?
We need help understanding what could possibly be going on with this human.
Literally. Right. And like, just like really wanted to like learn about other people and like myself. But like, I think the spark was like kind of like what is going on with someone else,
like compatibility.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. And like obviously like as a Sagittarius, I just like love to learn and love to like understand a lot of different things. So like spirituality, religions, like I'm obsessed with religion and like other people's religions. Like that's always been really interesting to me. So like astrology and like other forms of spirituality, like human design and astrology. Like I want to learn about like every single thing. And I always just like really liked that astrology is just like endless.
Yeah.
Like you said this earlier, like you could literally just like learn about it forever. Like that was always very intriguing to me. It wasn't like something I could just like learn and move on from. Like I could always have it as like an interest and a learning kind of thing. How about you?
Definitely like the, I'm like the teeny bopper magazine.
No, literally.
Why did that word come to mind?
It's
I'm a boomer.
great word. No, I
Yeah,
say
no, we
teeny
should use
bopper
teeny
sometimes too,
bopper
and I'm like,
more.
well, that was old of me.
But yeah, those like celeb magazines. Like I remember like cutting out my horoscope, like, and like keeping it.
Oh my god, I love.
I then was just also always drawn to like the spirituality sections in bookstores. Like in high school, like my besties and I would like hang out in Barnes and Noble often, and like I would always go to that section and like, you know, read about my sign. And I like totally remember like when I actually like bought my first one, my first like astrology book, which is really cute. And then yeah, I think it was also not until college that I started like studying it.
Yeah.
Like I remember like my like freshman year, I like got home from like winter break and was like, yes, like now I have all this time to like study astrology. And I would like wake up in the morning and like make myself a cup of tea and get my notebook and pen and my astrology book and like take notes. And I used to print out blank birth charts and quiz myself on all the symbols and everything. Like I would fill out an empty birth chart as like practice, which is just really cute.
It is really cute.
Yeah, I think just then throughout college, like similar to how you said, like I just used like astrology as therapy for a long time.
Totally.
Like just being like, oh my God, like why is this happening? Or like, why am I feeling like this? Why am I acting like this?
Yeah.
I would like go to my birth chart and, you know, look for something that like would be like, oh, okay, it's my Scorpio moon, I bet.
Right.
Like,
right,
I
totally.
feel so much better. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like we can move on now.
Yeah. It's so funny. Like I was thinking about this week. Like whenever Scratch Goods would move and I wouldn't be working as much, or like the store would be closed, I like would sit on the roof here, like at Soho, and I would sit up on the roof and I'd have my book and I would like write down my houses and write down the sides. Like it's so funny. It was like when I also like had my little work breaks.
Right.
Like
It was
that
like,
was
finally,
like,
now we can
I have
work
time
on
to
this.
look at astrology. Like so funny.
Yeah, which is now special that we like cut out
Have time.
so much time. Which A, we have time, and B, we like really
make it a priority.
prioritize it.
Yeah, absolutely.
My wife was saying the other day, they were like, it is so hot that you are like researching this right now.
Yeah.
They were like, not everyone does that. Like
I
most people
know.
do not like have something that they're passionate about and they
like,
take time to
learn
like
about.
research it and learn about it and like absorb it and use it.
Yeah, no, totally. I know, like once I left like a work happy hour early, I like didn't drink. Like I was just like, no, like I have to go home and like learn about the asteroids.
Yeah.
I was like, that's like what I have to do tonight. Like I don't have time for this. Sorry guys. Like I have to go learn about every asteroid and its mythology. Like in an excited way though.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
it's like so special that we have something that we love so much.
I know, it
and
really
now we get to
is.
share it with you guys.
Yeah, that's the best part. Yeah, and I think like really what astrology has been able to do for me is like give me the reminder that everything is like cyclical. Like nothing is permanent. Everything is like ever changing. Like nothing lasts forever. Like literally, like it's a loop. Like things go around in a circle. Things leave you, they come back to you, but nothing stays forever. And I think it's just like a really good way to like reflect on stuff when you're feeling a type of way. Like it's really easy to like go to your Chani app, check the little transit thing and just see exactly what's going on. Like that's just such a nice tool to have and like be able to
like make you feel so seen.
Yeah,
is what it's doing. You're like, I'm feeling like this, and then someone else being like, this is probably happening for you right now. You're like, oh my gosh, thank you.
Totally.
Like, if you're feeling crazy for feeling a type of way, you're like, I'm supposed to be feeling like this.
Yeah, and I think for me too, like knowing that it's like it's a transit. Like transit, that means it's moving. Like it's not, nothing is like stagnant, nothing is staying with you forever. Everything's an era, you know? Everything is moving and changing.
Yeah, I think something that clicked for me recently too is like thinking about things cyclically. It's like things aren't supposed to just like, I think when I see a problem, I just want it to be like fixed. And if the problem happens again, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I didn't do a good enough job last time, or like, why isn't this better? Things are supposed to come back up.
Right.
you know, every whatever the cycle is, like however so often, and just like
Yeah, totally.
things are supposed to come back up. You're going to reassess. Oh, remember when this happened last time? How did we handle it then? And okay, look, it came up again. Are we handling it
And now we
the
know
same?
how to handle it.
Yeah, it's just really nice.
It is really nice. Very special.
Hope you enjoyed, you know, hearing about our little journeys to astrology, and maybe you can relate, or, you know, maybe you have your journey still ahead of you, and we're really, oh my god, I'm gonna cry. We're honored to be a part of your journey.
Yes, that's
and learning
so
about
nice.
astrology. Up next, we are passing the plate over to our listeners. If you you know, watch Disney Channel, you're familiar with Pass the Plate with, you know, Brenda Song, for example. So we thought it would be a fun little title for our, you know, I think it's going to be maybe a story time / advice segment.
Yeah.
More so this season. And also a similar, we'll do advice on Fridays in our quickie episodes as well. So keep out for those. Those will also still be listener submitted questions.
So I recently met this guy online a few months ago. After chatting, we decided that we should meet up in person for food / drinks. I just moved here a year ago and found out he'd recently moved here from another state as well. Turns out our birthdays are just a few days apart and we have quite a bit in common. I've introduced him to a couple of my friends I've made here, and we've hung out a few times since then. I think he's a really cool guy and definitely find him attractive, but I'm not sure if he has the same feelings towards me. This past weekend, we went out and things were a little flirty, but nothing came of it. I just want to know if I have a chance, or if he's interested in me as more of a friend. I'm sometimes bad at reading signals and not sure if I've already found my way into the friend zone. Would love to hear what you two think. Side note, I'm like, I will be reading the compliment. Side note, I adore you both so much and enjoy your podcast / content on TikTok. Danny, you are so relatable. And Aubrey, you're the bestie everyone wishes they had.
This compliment has kept me going for
I
the
think
past
about
week.
it all day.
I think about it all day.
I was walking to work. I'm like, I'm so relatable.
No, it's just like, I think
like,
it makes us
sweet.
feel very seen, because that's
Yeah.
like exactly who we want to be.
Literally.
Because I'm like, well, I don't want to be relatable.
I know.
You know what
no,
I
but I
mean?
do.
Yeah, no.
It's
It's really
no, it's so
affirming.
perfect.
So
thank you for saying that. A little update. The placements here are for our listener: an Aquarius Sun, Gemini Moon and Rising, Leo Mars, Capricorn Venus, and for the man, an Aquarius Sun, Taurus Moon, Cancer Rising, Leo Mars, and a Capricorn Venus.
Very similar.
Very similar.
Shockingly similar.
Yeah.
So, if you don't already know, I am also in an Aquarius
Yeah.
relationship right now. And, you know, it really works for us. My theory in it is that aqua works if you're different types of weird.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the same type of weird, it's going to be like, there can only
Clash.
be one of us.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, you think you think you're weirder. Well, actually, I'm weirder.
Yeah.
But if you're like just weird about like different things,
Totally.
I think it's a vibe.
Yeah.
Since your little crush is a Cancer rising,
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's giving shy. I
Yeah.
feel like they probably have like maybe just more of like a hard shell
Right.
around them that like you need to just get to know them a little bit better
Mhm.
before they show you their like soft insides,
Totally.
or before they see your soft insides.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I have an Aquarius Venus, but I like to say that I think Aquarius like is the sign of the friend zone. Like, I really do lean into my like Aquarius self when I'm like dating and in relationships, but I feel like I've always like called people I've been like dating and hooking up with like my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it was like super, super defined. And so like I would argue, like, I'm not sure if like a friend zone is a bad place to be with an Aquarius.
Right. you know,
like I don't think
it's
that
you're
means
stuck there.
something bad necessarily.
You're just friends.
Yeah, you're just friends, and like you can hook up, you can date, but you're also friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like a very Aquarian way to date.
Totally.
So I would like, maybe if that helps you, like be okay with it. Like I think that's like an okay place to start things.
Yeah, I also think A, the Cancer rising, but B, the Taurus moon. Like Tauruses like to take things slow.
Totally.
And they like just might need more time to get to know you.
Yeah.
Whereas like you have a Gemini moon and rising, like you don't want to wait.
Yeah.
You want to jump into it because you're feeling it right now, and like who knows
you're
how
like,
it'll be
"Let's
feeling
go."
tomorrow, but you're like, but I'm feeling it tonight, so like let's do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think you're like in a friend zone. They just like might rather start as friends and
Yeah.
like get to know each other and make sure that this is like a safe scenario, because you might be coming off like kind of chaotic to them,
Yeah.
to be honest, and it might be freaking them out. Which I'm not saying don't be yourself, but
No. Yeah, but like no, it might take a second.
yeah.
It is so interesting too that you both have like Capricorn Venuses.
Did you just read that off my screen?
No.
I literally my notes. Super interesting. You're both Leo, Mars, Cap, Venus.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Continue.
That's kind of all I had.
Okay.
Just like that's like crazy that you both have the same Venus and Mars. Like that is like probably not like an initial thing, but like I feel like if this does continue, like that's just like you're gonna understand each other's
Right,
like wants and needs like in a deeper relationship, sexual way, like pretty well.
Yeah, I think definitely like with Leo Mars, like I think you guys both want the attention on
Right.
you.
Mm-hmm.
And then a Capricorn Venus, like you both want to date someone who's like an icon, who has like a
Yeah.
high social status, is rich, etc. So like like maybe older. So if you're both attracted to that, like
right.
I think it would be hard for both of you to be happy and like any sort of like long term wise if like you guys are both like at the same playing field.
Right.
I think Capricorn Venus really wants to like kind of, you know, date like above their status, like date to
right.
help their status, or like, not that I necessarily feel like that with my partner, but like my partner helps me do things that I can't, that I'm not able to do otherwise, that like, you know,
yeah, lifts you up.
upgrade me.
Yeah.
Like my partner writes my emails for me because they're a little older and they know how email works. So,
Totally.
you know, like I think if you guys are both the same exact age, it's like hard to feel like the other person is like upgrading your status.
Yeah, that could maybe be a found thing though, do you think?
Yeah, totally.
Like,
no, I'm not saying it's like doomed, but just like an interesting, like my Capricorn Venus, I have just, you know,
totally
really
found
struggled
that
with
in yourself. Yeah.
in dating. But it's also, I think, just something to like know about yourself and unpack. Like, why is that important to you, or whatever.
Totally.
So yeah, like I think it's just interesting with the same Mars and the same
No, it
Venus. Like,
is.
does it work if you both want the same things? Like, maybe you know how to give the other person exactly what you would want.
No,
Yeah.
I know. Very interesting.
Yeah.
But I would definitely like keep this going, and I think also just the fact that you both moved to a new place like is just like a reason to have friendship, if nothing else.
Yeah, totally.
Like a good way to like, and you said you've like met each other's friends. Like I feel like it's like I'm not mad at the friend vibes here, and I
No.
think we could go places with it.
Yeah, and who doesn't love like, oh my god, like, are we gonna like sit next to each other or are we not?
Right.
Or
Are we
like,
gonna kiss?
are we gonna kiss tonight? Maybe. I don't
Right.
know. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like living
It's
for that.
fun.
Like, I feel like I always see TikToks of people that are like, will someone just like be my like, you know, be in an erotic friendship with me, where we
Yeah.
like hang out all the time and like,
Totally.
no, neither of us know what's going on. Like,
yeah.
I think
It's an
that's
era.
really fun.
It is.
But yeah, I would say continue to like be the kind of person that they can trust and they can like feel at home with you,
Absolutely.
especially since you're both in a new city, and I'm sure like, you know, feeling homesick or whatever sometimes.
Yeah.
So, and Taurus and and Cancer definitely like want to feel at home with you.
Yeah.
So, good luck. let us know how it goes.
Yes, let us know.
You can text us.
Text us updates, please. We love when you do.
Thank you for joining us on your flight to season 4 of Astro Sluts.
Yay, we made it.
This is when you
Safe
clap.
landing.
When you clap on the landing.
Yeah, literally.
That's this moment. We will see you on Friday for a new quickie episode, and then we will see you next Wednesday for a full-length episode.
So much content.
So much content, and you'll see us way more on TikTok coming up because we'll be together every single day.
Can't wait.
And you know, it's not made in this moment, but I am committed to making a Be Real for us.
Oh yeah, we will. So we'll be on Be
Have
Real.
an Astro Sluts Be Real. I think would be really cute.
It would be so fun. We love Be Real, as I'm sure y'all do too.
Yes. So, you know, keep an eye out for that.
Yes. Oh my God, fun.
See you next week,
Okay.
sluts.
Bye, sluts.